No, I'm telling no lies, and I'm a rider, I'ma die for mine. Good game, got drip like the rain. Money over everything, over everything. We can sip, drink, blow Mary Jane. Gripping grain, switching through the lanes. Just might throw the thing at your frame. When it drain, let it drip on your brain.
You're messing with the best, right? You need people like us, right? Bad guys. You can punch your fucking fingers.
Riding around in my scraper. My palms itching, trying to get to this paper.
What up, though? What's poppin', hustlers and hustlerettes? What I want to speak on today is the power of the tongue. You know what I mean? You really got to watch what you say out your mouth. What you say out your mouth, you speak to the universe. That's what you're manifesting. You think it, you say it, it will come to you. Somehow, some way. Yeah, we all got negative thoughts and things of that nature, but you gotta train your brain to switch that up every time a negative thought come in and change that to a positive. You don't never want to say things like you're broke or this is gonna happen to you, or negative. You always gotta think positive. You could be going through the worst things at the moment. But everything is temporary. Nothing's gonna last forever. This too shall pass. You feel? It's gonna be good, it's gonna be bad. But you just gotta roll with the punches. It's life. Balance. It's the scales of life. You feel? So you basically just wanna touch on trying to control your thoughts. That's not always an easy thing to do depending on what you're going through, but don't let it come out your mouth. You know what I mean? A negative thought come through, reverse that and switch it to a positive. Everybody goes through things in life that are shortcomings or things that could be very difficult. Some may experience this more than others. But somehow, some way, you got to try to get up out of that. Stop thinking about so many problems and try to figure out, think about solutions. Okay, this is going on, that's going on, okay. Well, what do I need to do to fix that? What do I need to do to change that? I guarantee you there's an answer. For any question you got, there's an answer. You got to speak to God, whatever you believe in, the creator, the universe, divine, whatever religion you mess with, or if you don't, if you're spiritual. So that video was short and sweet. It was outside, short and sweet, but I want to tap a little bit more into that, you know what I mean? Because that's not it, that's not all, Because your words, they create your direction. It's taking you where you finna go. Right? When you repeatedly say something, you start to believe that. Like, you ever heard the saying, like, this person, they believe their own lies? It's because they do. They done said it to themselves so many times, it may be far from the truth. But they start to believe it because they done said it so much, It's a real thing, and what you believe influences you. It influences your decisions, your choices, You know, it shapes your future. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a religious person. I'm more spiritual if you ask me. But there is a Bible verse, Proverbs 18:21. Correct me if I'm wrong. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. So for all you religious folks out there, take heed, you know what I mean, to what's in the good book, you feel? But like I said, I'm not a religious person, but it's a lot of good things in the book, you feel? The tongue, it could build or it could destroy. You know, the tongue, you can talk words of healing, encouragement, you know, inspiring people, motivate, teach. Or you could do the complete opposite. You know, you can destroy, you can humiliate, you can embarrass, you can divide, spread fear, you know. Like, think about it. Coaches, teachers, parents, the way they speak to whoever's listening to them, their child or their student or whatever, whatnot, it matters, you know. Teachers just dogging you out, your parents just dogging you out, you know, you don't feel love, they talking to you with no love. It's going to affect you probably for a very long time, you know what I mean? But if they speaking life into you, you know, they believe in you, you could do this, they're encouraging you to do what you want to do, you know, as long as it's something positive, you feel? Hopefully they're not encouraging you to go out there and do something dumb. But if these people are encouraging you to do your best, they believe in you, they know that you can do it, you got it in you, you're going to start to believe that. Even if that ain't what you're doing at that point in time, you're going to start to believe that, and you're going to work hard to get to that. You're going to start speaking like that. And the cool thing about it is, yeah, all the words from all those people, they matter. But you speak to yourself more than anybody else does. So what you saying to yourself inside and then actually spitting that out, that's going to affect you the most, in my opinion. You know, like, what are you saying about yourself? Does the things that you say about yourself, does it align with your goals and what you're trying to get to? You know, are you speaking on the possibilities, or are you speaking on the limitations? Are you speaking on your goals and where you're trying to get to, or are you speaking on all the obstacles or hurdles it is for you to get there? All that matters. And I say all that matters because, you know, everything that you speak on, you speak vision before you see it. What I mean by that? Before a business begins, an idea does. You got to come up with the idea. You're thinking of it. You might say it out loud. You want to write it down for sure. You know, before a movie comes into play, you're going to have to write a script to it. Somebody going to have to direct it before it gets to that movie screen. People going to speak about it first. Music, you know, for sure. Coming up with a song, you're going to have to write them lyrics before you push that out there, that vision, before you get to the videos and the shows and all that. You're going to have to think about it, jot it down, and bring it to life. And, you know, relationships. It ain't no relationship without no conversation. What they say, conversation rule the nation. No. So watch what you talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You also gotta watch your environment, because your environment is gonna have a lot to do with what you talking about. You know, most successful people are speaking about growth, opportunities, learning, discipline, solutions. You know, people on the negative side, it's always some excuses. It's always some problems. It's always the blame game. It's always they the victim, you know. And they might have been the victim. They might be going through some things. You know what I'm saying? Some things. They might be going through a whole lot. But as long as you keep on worrying about that, speaking on that, it's going to continue to go that way. It's just going to continue. You got to get out that mind frame. And part of being in the correct environment is because friends, family, parents, all that type of stuff, like I said, words can leave scars. You know, you might not. Y'all should remember the saying. What was it? Like kids used to say it back in the days. What you do don't hurt me goes back to you, or something like that. Your words don't hurt me, yada yada yada. And that, you know, that was a cool little saying and all this. I know I ain't saying it correctly, but you know what I'm talking about. But words do have an effect on you though. So you may be, you know, have some tough skin and you don't react to everything, you don't get emotional or whatever, whatnot. But if you are continuously in an environment around people that's talking to you a certain type of way, that could be anybody. When I say environment, that don't mean you gotta be living in the hood and all this. You could be at home with your mama and daddy. You could be at home with your wife or your husband, and they talking to you a certain type of way. You know? And that's gonna affect you. The energy that they giving off to you is gonna affect you. That's your environment. You gotta watch them type of things as well. You know, hearing you ain't ish, you ain't never gonna be this, you know, somebody might be calling you stupid or dumb, or you know, all this, like, who, you know, you don't want to be in that type of environment. You know, you want to be around people that's more on the positive side. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and act like there ain't no negative to nothing. Of course, that's called balance. There's gonna be some negative things going on, but you always gotta look at it like the cup is half full at all times. I'm never gonna be focused on the negative. It's easy to focus on the negative, you know. And me, you know, I ain't never took the elevator in life. I've always been on the stairs, so I'll be taking the hard route. So positive is the hard route. You know, it's easy to get out there and do some dumb. It's harder to have some discipline about yourself. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Power of the tongue. You gotta have discipline about yourself to control that. And not only control it for yourself, control it for when you're talking to somebody else. See, when you're talking to somebody else, you got to be able to control your tongue, control them emotions, because when you hot and bothered, you mad about something, you may say some things that you regret. You may say some things that you didn't mean to say that, or not like that, you didn't, not to that person, you know. And you could say you sorry or apologize and all that, but people don't forget what you said to them. You know, I know I don't. You know, you can love me up and down, but I'm gonna remember what you said though, cause you meant that shit. You know what I'm saying? Excuse the language. But you meant that shit. You feel me? If you're a youngster listening to this, like, sometimes you can't, controlling your environment is out of your control. You know, you can have a parent or your guardian or whoever is in your life. They have a whole lot of power. They set the tone. Because if they always on you, they calling you lazy or you ain't about nothing and you're incapable, or, you know, that's gonna set the tone of how you think and how you go about life. And a lot of people from way back, they didn't really have a whole lot of options. Today, you know, even if you're young, you could go on YouTube and look up some motivational people, try to find a mentor or somebody that's at the place or in the same, going in the same direction that you're trying to go to, and listen to them. You know, your parent or your guardian, they might just be there to keep a roof over your head for the time being until you become an adult. Hopefully they doing that much. You know, if they ain't doing nothing else, hopefully they keeping some food in your stomach and a roof over your head and a bed to lay in. You did. But if you in that position, I would focus on your future and getting your things together, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, so that when you do become of age, you are capable to get out there on your own. So you don't have to be in the same environment listening to what's going on around here. You know, because you will be an adult at some point in time. And you can live life how you want to live it. Because you really got to guard what comes out your mouth. That's what I mean about the discipline. You got to, I know you probably been around people that you notice have no filter. They might even tell you they ain't got no filter. You know, they just say whatever comes to mind. You know, and they probably get into a lot of stuff over their mouth. A lot of confrontations, arguments, disputes. They might even get physical because of their mouth. A lot of things happen over that mouth. You know, it's people that are no longer here over their mouth. It's people that are in the penitentiary over their mouth, and some actions that happened after that. But it started with that, and not being able to control what's coming out your mouth, you know. But as far as just yourself and, you know, speaking things into existence over yourself, you gotta, before you speak, you gotta ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this true? You know, is this helpful? You know, you gotta ask yourself those things, right? Let's stretch it out, so you know what I mean. I think I had shoulder surgery recently, so I got just getting back to it. You did, but what people talk about, if you listen to them, you can really tell like what's inside of them, their character. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they always mad? They always speaking with anger, hostility, bitterness, pride, you know, gossip. It's a whole lot of that going on nowadays. A whole lot of gossip, you know. But what somebody talks about on a consistent, everyday type of thing, that's who they are. You know, and if that's your people or whatever, you need to pay attention to that and know how to try to balance that out. If you still attached to them or whatever, whatnot, you can have those conversations, but know when to break away from that. Like, okay, I don't need too much more of that. You know, I'm cool on all that. I need some more positive in mine. You know, I don't need all that negative Nancy type shit you got going on. Do as you do. I'm gonna do as I does. But I I'm leaving you with a challenge. You feel? You know, everybody like a challenge, right? Who don't like a challenge? For the next 7 days, right? Stop speaking negatively about yourself. Speak encouragement to someone every day. Replace complaints with gratitude. Be grateful for the things you got. Be grateful for being here. Be grateful for waking up this morning. Somebody didn't. You know, you still blessed to be here. You still blessed. You got a roof over your head. You still eating. Somewhere somebody ain't. You know. And hopefully they get that together. You know, because I believe everybody should eat. I believe everybody should have a roof over their head. Everybody should be fed, have a bed, you know. But the reality is it's not like that. So anyway, speak your goals out loud. Don't speak about the problems out loud. Don't speak about how hard it is and this, that. Because, yeah, of course, it's hard. It's hurdles. It's obstacles. But speak on them goals. How you going to get there? 7 days. Refuse the gossip. Refuse the gossip. Not entertaining no gossip. Keep that over there, player. We ain't entertaining no gossip. You know what I mean? And use your words to build instead of tear down. Because it's easy to tear something down. It's easy to tear that thing down. You know? Hey, trust me, I know. Got some murder mafia out here. You feel me? That's a whole nother story. You feel? But that's a challenge, dude. 7 days. What's 7 days? You feel? It's crazy because your tongue is like probably one of the smallest part of your body. But it's powerful. It has one of the biggest impacts on your future, your mindset, your relationships, the people around you, how it affects them. So I would say every day, wake up, you know, speak life. Don't speak death. Speak life. You want to keep living, right? Speak life. Don't focus on the negative. Always be looking forward. Keep stepping, one foot in front of the other. Just keep moving, keep pushing. You know? Everything's temporary. What's another one of them quotes? This too shall pass. Yeah. I'm gonna leave y'all with that though. Money over everything. M.O.E.D.O.E. Yada.